Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Haxton Knits channel. My cats are already on board for some interruptions for the day, and this is going to be a little bit of an impromptu post-holiday check-in. If you're new to my channel, I recommend maybe popping back one or two episodes just to see what life here on the Haxton Knits channel is normally all about. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Deanna, and I'm an American living in Okinawa, Japan. Those of you who do know me know that in the episodes that have been leading up to this one, I've been talking up my upcoming shoulder surgery. And yes, so the shoulder surgery was done. It's been about 3 weeks now. So I still got a few more weeks in the sling. The sling life is murder. I hate it. I hate every moment of it. But we are enduring, and hopefully I will be healthy. So of course what that means is that the knitting has been pretty light. It's not been zero, but there has been just a little bit less, a lot less than average. So let's get started. So here in Okinawa, and by the time this gets up, really all of the world, the New Year's will have passed. We're a couple of days, we're a day in the future from my friends and family in the United States. But by the time this is up, for sure, all of the holidays will be over because I am slow and things are going at a snail's pace ever since the one-armedness happened. But it's interesting here. So in the US, of course, New Year's is all about New Year's Eve and going out and staying up till midnight and, having the drinks and waiting for the ball to drop in New York and, kissing a loved one at midnight, etc., etc. But here in Okinawa, it's not the same, and that was a big surprise to me when I first got here. I remember our first holiday going out, and all the local pubs and taverns and things were just kind of empty, and thinking, what is going on? And of course, now we know that New Year's Day is the big celebration here in Okinawa. And we live next to a very large temple and shrine. There's both a Buddhist temple and a Shinto shrine in our area. And I remember the first time that I came out on New Year's Day, and there were cars. I couldn't figure out where all these cars were coming from, just lined up a mile in each direction on the side of the road, parked, and this line of people wrapped all the way around the block waiting to get into the shrine. And so it was interesting. This year I was wondering whether that was going to happen or not, and I went out on New Year's for a walk, and everything was gated up and it said please do not enter. So that was a big sad to see the COVID restrictions for the holidays. I know a lot of us felt that, and especially here in Okinawa, where I'm very far away from my family and friends, and having some restrictions about gatherings for the people who are close to us. So hopefully all of you were able to find a way to celebrate the holidays in whatever way you celebrate, and have started this new 2021 year safe and healthy, and we'll work on 2021. We'll see how this goes. With the unfortunate timing of my surgery, it seems that I've missed out on all of the holiday madness that happens on YouTube. But I want you guys to know that this is my favorite time of year when it comes to the YouTube crafting community, because this is the time of year when Vlogmas happens. And for those who don't know, Vlogmas is every December. All the crafty YouTubers out there start to produce sort of behind the scenes vlog style daily uploads, and you get really dig into the behind the scenes and kind of get to know some of your favorite YouTubers. I had very strong intentions of at least doing a little bit of vlogging this December, and in fact I actually did. But looking back on it, it was pretty clear that I was just stoned on Percocet after my surgery and should not have been holding a camera or talking to a camera. Almost all of my videos, I kind of just looked like I rolled rumpled out of bed and was rambling, and well, we'll see. We'll see if any of those clips make it into today's episode, but maybe next year will be the year that Vlogmas happens on the Haxton Knits channel. This is my first year as a YouTuber. In fact, we just passed the 1 year mark, I think about a month ago. And I thought about it. I don't, oh gosh, God bless the YouTubers that do a daily vlog video and get it edited and get it up, because that's not me and it never will be. The Haxton Knits Yarn Supply got a little bit of a readjustment this week. Why? Well, because one of my kittens has decided that yarn is her favorite toy and is taken to leaping up and pulling yarn out of my stash. And so now I have picked all the yarn balls up off the bottom too and up, hopefully out of her reach. Somehow it's looking a little fuller in here than it did before too. Part of that is this yarn right here. I finally bit the bullet and bought yarn, there's a little more up here, for that blanket that I've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it arrived. Now all I have to do is figure out how to knit with it while I'm in a sling. That's okay. This yarn here, I discovered that it's actually a lot quicker to ship from Loop, London than it is to ship from the US. But these guys came in the mail and they are for some future secret knitting. And these guys I purchased thinking I would need them for some secret knitting. Same thing with these little pink yarns here. So we'll see when I can talk about that. Spoilers ahead. Another skill that I've really been struggling with was the photography aspect of how to take good pictures of an item. When I finished my initial, secret knitting, I went out and I tried to find a nice place and I tried to take pictures, but I'm, here with my cell phone trying to take arm selfies in my sling, doing all of the appropriate things to try to take pictures. And so over the holidays, my husband took pity on my dear soul and got me a nicer camera and a little bit of lighting. And he also came out with me and took some pictures with me. So he actually was a beautiful photographer for some of my upcoming projects. And I am excited about the day I can share them with you, but it's not today. So what can I share with you today? I do have some new acquisitions to show you. So the first of them, I discovered, I think I mentioned this before, I discovered that it is faster to ship from London than it is from the United States right now. I don't know what's going on with the mail in the United States right now, but the mail coming to us is incredibly slow and taking a very long time. So shipping from somewhere else just made sense. And what did I get? I got a couple of beautiful skeins. Let's do this one-handed. So this is Ito, which is a Japanese yarn, and I don't know if I can show that to you, but this is a mohair and silk, and of course you get a lot of yardage because it's so light, so 20 grams is 262 yards, and this is in Billiard, Aqua, and Glacier. And I had some plans for future secret knits with this, but after swatching, they weren't turning out the way I wanted, so I've been looking around and trying to think of something else to make or a pattern for those yarns. And I think I might actually, I have some of this yarn in more of a blue color that I may pair with these to make some sort of project, or even maybe this one. This yarn, which I'm talking about, is Life in the Long Grass. If you remember from my previous episodes, I got a couple of skeins of this in the Amirisu Yarn Club, and I just really liked it. It's, well, it says it's a sport weight, and the numbers add up to sport weight, but also on the back of the label is a thing that says fingering weight yarn. It says sport, 300 meters for 100 grams, fingering weight yarn. I don't know if that's a mistake or what, but this yarn is gorgeous. Oh, my kitten. One of my kittens is obsessed with yarn. She gets it from her mother, but she's been chewing through skeins of yarn. I have had one casualty this holiday season, which was a beautiful skein of yarn that I had just got as a prize from the grocery girls. And I found it upstairs in my closet, just chewed to pieces, like mangled. There was no saving it. There were 100 little snips all through the thing. And as I'm holding this right now, I just noticed one spot that has been chewed through Siri is a little troublemaker. I have rearranged all of my yarn so that everything's up off the ground, and now I catch her climbing, trying to get the yarn anyway. And all my yarn lives in a room that we close, you know, when we're not home, so that it's away from the cats and they can't chew on the computer cables and they can't chew on the yarn. But she has been so much trouble with the yarn. If you think back to a few episodes ago, I know I showed videos of her like me giving her little balls of yarn and her carrying them around in her mouth, and it was so cute. Yeah, that was a mistake. Don't give your cats yarn. So I have several new skeins of this, which have yet to be determined. And okay guys, this is off-brand for me, but I have several skeins of Lion Brand Heartland. Now, I admit that I do occasionally get yarn snobby. I do really like nice, fancy boutique yarns and hand-dyed yarns and things like that. There is a time and a place for good, sturdy yarn at a cheap cost, and sometimes it's making blankets for your spouse. For weeks now, probably months now, I've been talking, oh yeah, definitely months now, I've been talking about that hexagon cable pattern by Knit Picks. And I have been, well, let's talk about Knit Picks. And I love Knit Picks. I think they're an awesome company, and one of my favorite things about them is that whenever you see one of their projects in like their catalogs, they always put the price of the yarn for the project at the bottom. Like you'll see this beautiful sweater picture, and instead of telling you, you know, buy this many skeins of yarn and making you do the math, it'll always say underneath it, you know, this project will cost $65. And usually they're very affordable. And so I was a little surprised when I caught this one, and it was like $250 for their Big O is the yarn, the Knit Picks Big O, which is not unreasonable. Trust me, for a hand knit blanket quantity of yarn, $250 is definitely a thing you could do. But I was just kind of not feeling that much money for a blanket, especially because I have so many hand knit blankets. But I was shopping, and my husband was, you know, kind of putzing around, and he saw me shopping for yarn and asked what it was about, and I told him that I was going to make a blanket, and he said, please make it something not itchy. Not itchy. And it's funny because at that moment, like, we're both in our living room underneath a hand knit blanket that I've made, and I'm thinking, none of these are itchy. And he's like, your blankets are all itchy. So I said, okay, we're doing it. We're going acrylic. And this one, actually, I shopped around for a long time because I really wanted a sort of charcoaly heathered black or gray. This is a little bit darker in color than I wanted to go, but it ticked all the boxes for me in that it's super cheap. It's got that heathered sort of shaded, not solid color, and it's definitely not itchy. And I've actually never worked with this before, but Lion Brand Heartland yarn, sensationally soft sensation. Yep, sensationally soft sensation. So that is purchased, and then of course I had to wait for it to ship, and then it arrived. And then I logged on to Knit Picks to get the pattern, and I get this error message. And I'm devastated. So I don't know what happened, but the pattern is gone. It is no longer available on the Knit Picks website. I did see over on Ravelry that there were a couple of errors that were printed, so I don't know if there were maybe so many errors that they had to pull it, or I don't know why, but I was very sad, and I have all this yarn, and I waited all this time, and so I decided we're gonna just hack this pattern. I am not going to share how any of my charts or how I do this, because obviously this is a paid for pattern that somebody spent a lot of time on, but I was a little bit frustrated and decided that, you know what, I can figure this pattern out from the pictures and get it done. And even better, working to my help, is the error corrections, which are up on the Ravelry website, because they have a couple of lines completely spelled out, which is enough to give me the spacing of the cables and the general setup of the cables. So I'm going to get this pattern done. One way or another, it's getting done. It's happened many times in my knitting career where I have looked at a pattern and said, purchased it, and after reading it thought, I almost wish I hadn't purchased this pattern. It's so simple, I could have figured this out. I do purchase patterns because I like to support, you know, people who are makers and their designs and their efforts and their work. And I have the ability at this time to afford patterns. Definitely early in my knitting career, earlier in my life, I super appreciated the free pattern. And I didn't have the skills at that time to hack a pattern the way I do now. So, well, that might be a mixed blessing. Anyway, moving on. Before my surgery, I mentioned that I had gone out and purchased a knitting belt, which came just in time. Let me show it to you. So this is a knitting belt, and it's designed to go around your waist. It's got a belt, and then this part here is where you actually support and hold your knitting needles. And these are not designed for one-handed knitting. They're designed to help you knit faster by supporting your needle, freeing up your other hand to do more work, or to kind of like hang your knitting on your body while you're walking around doing other stuff. But I thought it would be helpful for when I was post-surgery and getting some knitting done. And I did actually get to play with this a little bit. So for a knitting belt, you have to have very long straight needles, very long straight double pointed needles, I might add. And these are some Addies. They're US size 4 and 3.5 millimeter. They are 40 centimeters long. Does that sound correct? Our metric people of the world. And I was able to order the knitting belt and the long knitting needles from a vendor on Etsy. So it's actually really convenient. They make these, but they also sell a bunch of different very long double pointed needles, since it's a little bit tricky to find these. And the idea is that there's holes of various sizes on here, and you will mount your needle into this and wear it on your body. And after I had my surgery, I actually did knit a couple of rows using this. Basically, I just had my knitting needle supported close enough to my sling hand that I could hold my yarn, and I was picking up my yarn, making a stitch, remounting my yarn, and moving around. It was very slow going, but I did manage about 3 rows of knitting on a project that isn't really a project, but just something to keep me sane and keep my hands busy. I did that all the first day. So the day of my surgery, my appointment was super early. I had to be there at like 6 a.m. And so that left me all afternoon awake. And they had put a nerve block in. So they basically like put an injection in that blocks the whole arm. So I didn't feel anything. The arm was just like useless. I couldn't move it, but it didn't hurt because I couldn't feel anything. So that day I was like, oh, I can knit. This is great. If you're on my Facebook, I posted like, oh, it turns out you can knit one-handed. The next day and every day after that for about a week and a half, I was like, oh no. No knitting is happening, because there was quite a bit of pain. But I am excited to hopefully do some more endeavoring with this. I think once the sling is off and I can actually practice knitting pretty well. I was hoping to pull up this vendor so I could tell it to you, but I did get these guys on Etsy. Stand by. That's right. So Etsy, the shop on Etsy is called Bob and Weave. So Bob and Weave, W-E-A-V-E. And they have tons of different colors and different shapes, and also all of the knitting needles to go with them. So you should for sure check them out. They come with a cute little instructional book, and it's super nice. Also, if you are concerned about it fitting, I do want to tell you that this thing comes with 2 lengths of belt. So this belt was long enough to fit around my waist, and I'm probably medium to large US size, but if you are bigger, they come automatically with a second belt that doubles this length, so it's able to fit on you. And then the holes are punched all the way down, so as far as too small, you shouldn't have an issue. I don't even think like a 5-year-old it would be too small, so that was good thinking of them. When it came with that extra belt, I thought that was a great addition to this product. Guys, that is really just about everything I have for today. I know it's light. I've knit only a couple of rows here or there for the last several weeks, so not a lot on the knitting front, but hopefully more to come. I am going to show little clips of things happening here in Okinawa. As far as COVID and all, I almost forgot. Okay, I got my COVID vaccine. I'm really excited about that. So here in Okinawa, there are a couple of places that it is becoming available to frontline workers. As you guys who watch the channel know that I'm a nurse, so I was eligible for the first wave of those to come through. I was originally told I would be receiving the Pfizer vaccine, and then later was told, no, never mind, you're getting the Moderna vaccine. So I did have the opportunity to kind of dig into both of those vaccines. I was curious to see what the differences were and compare and contrast. I did find a really nice article written about the two vaccines, which I will link below if I can find it again. But big thing is they've both been sort of through similar amounts of testing. They're both showing similar effectiveness. I think the Pfizer vaccine was estimated at 95% effective and the Moderna was like 94.6% effective. So very, very similar. So I got the vaccine, I guess it was maybe 4 days ago now, which is exciting for those of you who want to know, because everyone wants to know. The day of the shot, I felt totally fine. Nothing, honestly, I felt nothing at all the day of the shot. The next day, I had a pretty good lump in my arm, maybe soreness slightly worse than a flu shot, but nothing that I need to like take any meds for or anything like that. And day 3, I probably felt a little bit run down and tired. No fevers, no flu-like symptoms or anything like that. So all in all, I would say similar to a flu shot, maybe even a little bit less as far as like feeling run down for me personally, and a little bit more for soreness in the arm. So, all right, I'm alive, everything's good. Incidentally, I happened to be there getting some of the first waves of shots, and there were a lot of photographers and reporters and things like that around, and I had the opportunity to have an excellent shot of my shoulder and my tattoo getting my vaccine, so I'll include that there. That was very, very kind of the photographers to send me a high quality picture of my arm. It's funny because when you get pictures of yourself put up on the internet, you get to read all the weird comments, and somebody commented about what an odd tattoo I had, and you know, let's not delve down that rabbit hole. So yeah, it was very exciting. It's something like, when I think about the fact that I just got this vaccine, it just kind of like leaves me in awe of where we are today. Like, try to think back to several months ago, think back to like March, when I was so scared and like so frightened, and we were all locked down, and I had so much anxiety about this illness. And now to have gotten the first of the vaccines, you have to get 2 shots, but it's just, I don't know, a really cool time, and it makes you wonder like what's next and what's coming. I don't know yet. They haven't said whether these are going to be like yearly shots or how long the immunity will last, because frankly no one's had the shot on board long enough to know how long immunity lasts. But I am super excited to have gotten my vaccine, and you probably will see popping up on my Instagram feed my I got my vaccine, because I'm very proud about go ahead and getting that done. So all that came up because I was going to talk about COVID here. Okinawa is currently what's called the red zone for Japan. They're zoning us like green, yellow, red, and that is based on the number of cases per capita. So we are having kind of an upsurge in cases here locally. As a result, restrictions are up and down. Right now, you can get food to go from a shop, or you can eat there if there's outdoor seating and you're adequately spaced. And I'm following those restrictions, but they are fluctuating. So some of the shots I'm going to show you are like me inside the coffee shop, getting my food to go. I promise I was following the rules as they were at the time. So yeah, since I haven't been able to do a lot of knitting, haven't been able to do a lot of things, I have just been doing the normal run around town stuff. Going to the store, man, here in Japan, gosh, this is a side tangent. I don't know what it is, but here in Japan, there are some stores that have theme music, and when you're in the store, they play that theme song over and over and over and over again, and MakeMan is one of those stores. MakeMan is like a Home Depot, but it's also got a lot more general goods and a very small craft section, so sometimes I'll like go there and peek at the yarn. It's kind of equivalent to dollar store yarn or something like that. The Daisos, which is 100 yen store, also have some inexpensive yarn. But yeah, so we did the normal run around town stuff. I did get some updates from my mom. She received her package of dog sweaters in the mail, and they all seem to fit perfectly. And I got a really cute picture of my dad with the dogs, which I hope he doesn't mind I'm sharing with everyone. So that was a fun bit of holiday knitting. Apparently they all arrived on Christmas Eve, which is awesome. I thought for sure that nothing was going to arrive on time. Am post-surgery today. Still a little bit hoarse from the procedure, and pretty much spending the whole day here on the couch eating snacks and taking pain pills. So no knitting is really happening right now, but I did purchase a knitting belt, and I was able to get 3 or 4 garter stitch rows done before I tired out and went to lay down. So I'm looking forward to exploring that a little bit more. And thank you guys for just kind of hanging out with me today on this episode. Here we go. Here's me in my sling and my beautiful, beautiful dressing. And here is my littlest helper keeping me warm and safe.